I'm Judy Appel of our Family Coalition, the premier LGBTQ family organization in California. And I'm excited to be here with our new program, the Alphabet Soup, fostering conversations with LGBTQ families one conversation at a time. And for this episode, we're going to be focusing on our upcoming gala on April 23rd. And I'm really, I get to be here with the Emcee, the famous Michelle Meow, who's going to be emceeing our show. And Michelle, welcome. Welcome to the Alphabet Soup.
Thank you so much. Famous, I was like in my head, I'm like, famous for what?
Famous in our minds.
I love it, premier LGBTQ family organization, our family. It sounded like you guys are taking over for IKEA.
Yeah, well, we do have a suite on staff now. So
premier furniture provider and family resources.
And family resources for LGBTQ families. Yeah, it's pretty incredible because we are doing so much kind of cutting edge work with families, and we're so grateful because we get to work with you, Michelle. So
yeah, no, likewise. I really love the organization. I don't have kids yet, but I do want kids eventually.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, and there's two things that I care about, right? I'm on the board for San Francisco Pride, and I think that exposure of our lives is really important right now, but also exposure of our families is equally important. And, families doesn't always mean that, it's your kids and you, or your mom and dad and your kids, but, family can mean a lot of things in our community, right?
Yeah, I mean, you are on you've been working a lot with Pride, with San Francisco Pride, and our Family Coalition has had Family Garden at Pride now for something like 12 years, a dozen years. And for us, we are so grateful that Pride is a place now where our families can come. We feel like we're able to make a space that's safe and away from the kind of crazy Pride energy that's so exciting for a lot of folks, but we can have our kids there and safe and have fun. And
yeah,
so it's a great way to kind of combine the two things. And I think families are really they're the future of our movement. So.
And they have been the future. And unfortunately, we've just not been given the opportunity to have exposure. But Pride, right, for the last 9 years that I've been broadcasting the parade or being the co-host for it, it's really changed over time. I mean, I think my first year, the cameras were really shy about getting the public because they were afraid that we would get, nude shots. And now we get toddlers and pets and kids and families, and it's just so different. Even dykes on bikes, it's like newlyweds on bikes. I mean, sure, you still get the pasties and all that stuff, which is wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful for me.
Too. Yeah. Wonderful for me too.
Yeah,
exactly. Just because you're a mom
yeah.
doesn't mean you don't like pasties.
Yeah, but I love that there are so many more groups now who are coming out with their kids. It's so cool.
Yeah, it used to be also that it was our Family Coalition was the contingent that had hundreds of families, and we still have hundreds of families. And now you see kids all over, and that's a great indication of where we're heading, that we're everywhere. And I'm kind of wondering, you do a lot of work with the LGBTQ community. So if you're looking at this incredible moment in history, where are you seeing families fit in? How do you see us as we're moving forward? We're kind of one marriage, so what's next, and how do you see families playing a role in that?
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up. I mean, as happy as I am about marriage equality and living this extremely exciting time for, LGBTQ rights, I'm also a little scared, just to be very human for once. It's like these religious freedom bills that are popping up in several other states, and, you can really tell that the hate hasn't been erased. And when you think about if laws like the religious freedom bills are passed, or any law, right, that discriminate against our lives for basic needs, I mean, that will affect our children. That will affect our community for years to come, and it will really set the tone for that type of hate. So while I am very optimistic about, where we're headed in the future, I also think that we have to equally fight as hard and fight even more, for our future, which includes our kids.
I love that, because the truth is also that when you have families, when you have kids, you end up also being in all these spaces that aren't as necessarily as safe, and our kids are. So I remember reading something about your isolation in school, or places like a faith, or even the supermarket. And those are places where it has to be safe for all families, and we're not there just because we've won marriage equality.
And I'm not even speaking about like, LGBTQ, right? Like for me, intersectionality plays such a huge role in my life. I mean, I'm lesbian, I'm Asian American, I grew up in a different social class, and so I felt all those isms like growing up, racism, sexism, and it's like, when we talk about any bills that any legislators working on today that will limit freedoms, not just for myself, but for a kid in the future, you're really setting the tone for a really bad place for these kids to grow up. Because now I look at like where I'm at in my life today, and while I have, more rights than I ever thought that I would have as a gay woman, I still have to look out for all these other parts of my lives. And I really wouldn't want my kids to live in like that. I really wouldn't want them to live how I lived, I don't know, 20 years ago as a kid, because that was pretty rough. To grow up in a low-income, disadvantaged neighborhood, to have to put up with trying not to get jumped into gangs. You have that against you, but then you also have I can't really be out because I was made fun of for wanting to look like a boy. and so we just have to try harder to make it a better place for our kids.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm so glad you brought up the intersectionality piece, because even as we kind of feel really good about making strides when it comes to dealing with homophobia, we need to really be looking at all those isms and looking at racism, looking at classism, looking at how that's impacting the world we're raising our kids in, because I don't want my kids to grow up in that world either. And so I think that now is really this chance, because we have a lot of commonality across families. We have single parents, we have parents living in with all kinds of different both opportunities and challenges, and this is a chance to build bridges. So. Right.
And, for me, I've never known what a traditional family is. I mean, I grew up in a single-parent home. My mom had to raise, 5 very young kids. I grew up with a disabled brother. The term family meant a lot of different things for us. We had to find love and affection and adoration in many different ways. 5 young kids fighting for one mom's attention, not to mention she's dealing with grief that she's lost her husband. Coming here to the States. And so as gay people, we've always been that, we've been resilient, we've adapted well to our surroundings, we've gone through, some really hard times and have overcome that. And that's why I think that we would make such incredible parents. Like our kids will grow up knowing that love trumps hate. Our kids will grow up to know that discrimination is horrible. And the great thing about it is that I hope that my kids will grow up, and if I name my male son April, he's not going to give a crap, because he's going to understand he's going to have a lot of friends who are queer, who are gender fluid, who are all these things that I think make us very unique and make us incredible parents and full of love and compassion. I mean, I don't want to sound so cheesy, because I want people to know out there, for a night out, that we're going to celebrate, our family coalition. I promise to be entertaining.
No, I mean, I'm happy you brought that up, because actually my kid, my youngest, is now identifying as genderqueer, and, we have to really look at the context that she's still using a female pronoun that Tali is living in her middle school, and that's in Berkeley, where we have relatively a high level of acceptance, and it just helps me see how far we have to go internally as well as in the context of schools or other places. So it's exciting. It's amazing that also at 13 she feels like she can do that. And I mean, I don't want to take away from our progress, right? I mean, wow, marriage equality and the thought of marriage potentially coming to all 50 states here and where we're at today even is extremely exciting. I mean, if I could just be real, I mean, how marriage has impacted my life, that I've not proposed to my partner yet, but is this the moment? Are you doing it on the alphabet soup?
Oh, wow, Judy, I love it. Putting me on the spot. But it's funny, because every time we sit down with friends, that's always the top question, right? Especially from allies. They're so excited for us that we have the right to marry now, and they'll always be like, are you guys getting married? And sometimes it's so like, seriously? I didn't ask you, male friend guy who's on his second date, but it's coming. And then, my girlfriend will answer with, well, my ring finger here is extremely cold. It needs something heavy and warm on it. And then we'll get home and I do the whole lesbian thing where it's like, well, why do I have to propose? Like,
put a ring on it. Yeah, why don't you propose?
Yeah, my finger is equally cold, like, brr. And she'll be like, well, if you would like a head to be coming out of your vagina, then you can take that role. And so we have open conversations about roles. But that's what I love. It's like all this discussion, this dialogue about marriage, it's so new to us.
Yeah.
But it's also, it's so fun.
It is fun. And in some ways it's both conservative, but then we can play with it. And I'm so happy that's a perfect segue, the whole head coming out of the vagina thing, because this is perfect segue, because I was going to ask you whether, and which is funny, because I do find when I have people get married who I know, that I start asking them, like I'm their mother. I start asking them, are you thinking of starting a family? So I'm just going to go ahead and ask you if you guys are thinking of having a family and whether or not you get married, because you don't have to be married to have
right.
So,
you're right. No, I know.
So what are you guys thinking about having families?
Hetero people have babies before marriage all the time. Yes. The short answer is yes. It's funny. It feels like we're in a long distance relationship. She travels so much for work, so we G-chat a lot. And the other,
we can make babies that way.
I G-chatted her and I was just like, I don't know how we got on the topic, but I was like, you wanted to commit to me at like the second date. I believe you whispered in my ears, like, I want you forever. And she's like, is that how it happened? Because now I'm 33, my eggs are dying. So if it's forever, make it happen. And it's like, if I had a magic penis that was a wand, I would totally be like, psh.
But the great thing is if you guys aren't together, you can have that FedExed anywhere. So,
Short answer is absolutely yes. I mean, I would love to adopt. I would love to foster. I think, my life experiences and just, again, having grown up the way that I did and not ever having a quote-unquote traditional family, I mean, I think that, my kids and I would have so much fun. Not to mention, imagine a mini Meow, it's like this little thing with, like, Crocs and, like, spiky hair and...
I'm so going to bring that to you next time. A mini Meow, stuffed animal, action figure.
Yeah, exactly. So, that would be, I think that we need to be better role models, especially for our LGBTQ youths. And that, if we can provide a safe space for warmth, support, and love, we're incredible human beings for that, gay people. Yeah. So that is why I love, our family coalition.
Well, great. Let's talk a little bit about the gala. The gala's coming up April 23rd.
Yep.
And so you're going to be our host. You're going to be our MC.
I know. Such huge shoes to fill. I mean, last year Alec Mappa, hosted, and so I'm not as funny as Alec, but I can try to get my hair to look similar like Alec. I think it's on its way. I plan on. I think that I could do a lot of things. I mean, I can dance. If the shopping cart counts, and I can lip sync.
Oh my gosh, lip sync.
Yeah. She Bangs, William Hung's version probably is more appropriate for me.
Good to know the option. So everyone should come on April 23rd to the Intercontinental Hotel, because you could see all of that from Michelle Meow.
Awesome.
We're also going to have a new band playing that I'm really excited about, the Singing Boys. And I was at a friend's house for their birthday about a month ago, and 2 months ago, something, and the Singing Telegram group walked in the door and find out that they're a band who's performing. So I'm excited. We're going to unveil them to the queer family community on April 23rd.
Yes, that sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, and I was there last year, and the love from every parent out there who's super proud of their own families. I mean, it's just undeniable. And so regardless how horrible I do as a host, or you'll be entertained by singing boys, good food, and wonderful parents. Parents without their kids, they're the biggest party animals out there ever. They drink faster than me when I was 21.
It's true, because they're getting it all into their one night with babysitters. They're making it worth it, And it's true. So if you if you haven't bought your tickets yet, you can do that at ourfamily.org. Our next guest, Stephen Botte, is going to talk a little bit more about Night Out. But I was wondering if we could see, what do you think about seeing a little clip from the Singing Boys?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm so excited for them. That's awesome.
I'm excited. You're going to be great, Michelle. You're so humble, but we all know you're going to be fantastic. It's going to be a great night in your energy. And I really, your love for our family coalition and our families is just, I don't know, it's incredible. So
thank you so much, Judy. I look forward to it as well.
Right. Thank you. Bye.
I tried to treat you right, but you stayed out late at night. But I forgive you, bring it to me, bring your sweet love and bring it on home to me. Yeah, 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 yeah. If you ever change your mind about leaving me behind. Oh, bring it to me, bring your sweet love and bring it on home to me.
Thank you for visiting the show, Michelle, and really look forward to seeing you on April 23rd. We're going to take a short break, and after the short break, we're going to be hearing from our fabulous board member and parent, Stephen Botte, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Night Out and about his journey through parenthood. So after this short break, we'll hear from Stephen.
Babe, I think we're ready.
We're really doing this.
Yeah, I'm ready for our family.
So where do we start?
Starting a family is a team effort, and when life needs a little encouragement, Pacific Fertility Center will be right by your side. As a unified team of the best fertility specialists, guided by the highest ethical standards, Pacific Fertility Center provides patients with compassionate fertility care. Visit pacificfertilitycenter.com. Swirl is your A through Z covering the LGBT, LMNOP, and everyone in between show. Originating from the gay epicenter of the universe, inclusive of everyone in our community.
There's no way. Never let me go.
Visit swirlcast.com for interviews, news, entertainment, and fun. That's swirlcast.com.
Welcome back. I'm Judy Appel with our Family Coalition, and I'm here with the Alphabet Soup. And we are going to be talking next with Stephen Botte, who is a dear friend and also a member of our Family Coalition's Board of Directors. He's also worked in the high technology marketing for over 25 years. And most importantly to us, really, is a single dad of, I think, 8 years. Is he 8 years old?
My son is 8, yes.
Yeah, of 8-year-old Francesco.
Correct.
Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you very much, Judy. I'm very happy to be here with you.
Thank you for coming all the way down from San Jose. That's nice. I also, or I guess that's up from San Jose. Yeah, and you've been working on Night Out, so we're going to have a chance to talk a little bit more about Night Out.
A very exciting night, yes.
Before we do that, though, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your family?
Absolutely. I am the very proud and fortunate father of an amazing 8-year-old boy. He is good most of the time. We had a smackdown this week. He definitely was giving me a hard time on spring break when we were in Los Angeles. So
never happens to me.
No, never happens to anyone but me. I love him dearly. Everything I do is for him. Oh, look, photos of my son. Everything I do is for him. He is the lens by which I live my life.
You have pretty much the sweetest Facebook posts. You know, you said, date with my favorite guy.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Although, you're my favorite guy.
And I
Oh, that's my
appreciate that.
second favorite after my son.
But remember, the life you put on Facebook isn't necessarily your real life. And I do try to put the bad things too, like when my son is driving me completely insane.
Well, I hear that. So how did Francesco come into your family? Was he adopted? Did you what was your birth, like what was your family building story?
I get that question a lot, and I always love to tell the story because it's so important. Because we did something called open adoption, and when I say we, it was with my then partner, who is now my ex-partner. Unfortunately, because of addiction, he's no longer a part of our family. And my son has adjusted very well through that, fortunately. It's been a journey in itself. But 8 years ago, actually my son's birthday was Monday, 8 years ago, he was born. We went through a private adoption, met his birth mother, and she chose us. We chose him. We chose them. And 4 months after we met her, we had a baby. So the journey was about 5 months from the time we met the attorney to when a baby was in our arms.
Wow. 5 months. So what do you remember most of that day, of the day that Francesco was born?
I remember being asked by his birth mother if I wanted to come in to the room and it was going to be a C-section. I said, absolutely not. I said, I will wait here. And 45 minutes later, a beautiful little boy was handed to me. But the important day to me was actually 3 days later. I felt I was very guarded for the next 3 days while we waited for the ability of the birth mother to sign the legal document. I did not overly bond. Once she signed and she then went on her way and he was put in my arms again, that's the moment I remember when he was truly mine.
Oh, and you said you have an open adoption. Do you still maintain contact with
We
his
do,
birth
we
mom?
do. My son's birth father is not in the picture, but the birth mother we Skype, and he has a full brother, and we spend a lot of time with him Skyping, and he gets to know him that way.
That's amazing. So, and you're really active. You two come out to many Our Family Coalition events.
Absolutely. Probably 2 years ago, I found myself a single parent at the time, just having recently gone through a divorce. It wasn't a legal divorce because it wasn't a legal marriage, but it was more of an emotional divorce. Mm-hmm. I found myself in Texas, and although I had an incredible family support, so I'm Italian, and we move as a pack. So my parents lived with me in Austin. I decided, here I am, a single man with a multiracial child living in Texas. I knew I had to get home, back to the Bay Area. So I made that decision, and we came back here.
And then how did you find out about Our Family Coalition? And
Well, once I returned
to a lot of events, yeah.
Absolutely. Our family is so important to my family. Once I got back to the Bay Area, my network was single gay men. I didn't know a lot of families. So I went to some events through the the Castro Dads, and I ran into a gentleman, Chris Armillo, who was previously involved with Our Family. And he said, come to an Our Family event. Well, the rest is history for my family. Went to many of them, and every time we went, because it was so important, my son saw families that looked just like ours, with gay parents, multiracial children. So the experience was so incredible for him. Not only were we back in the Bay Area, but we were with people who looked just like us in so many ways.
I know, I think it was just a couple of weeks ago, we had our 17th annual LGBT Family Night at the YMCA in downtown Berkeley, and you came all the way from San Jose to Berkeley for that event.
You are right. So in the Bay Area, we definitely think that San Jose and Berkeley are two entirely different countries. But for me, I knew what was waiting for me. So I put my son in, of course, my Prius. That's also what we drive in the Bay Area, and headed up to Berkeley. You know, as I was driving, I was thinking, I wonder if there's going to be a lot of people at this event. I hope so. I hope it's fun. Well, as soon as I pulled up, I could feel the energy. And as soon as I walked through the door, my son sort of took off. It was an amazing event. The measure of success for me for any event, because I have an 8-year-old boy, is the sweat factor. So my son actually at the end of that event was completely sweaty because he was running around playing so much and having such a good time. There was a moment though when we went into a room for dinner, and we walked in, and there must have been about 200 people in this room. And it was children and parents, and it was loud, and there was pizza, and it was absolutely perfect. And it was one of those moments when I looked around the room, and everybody looked like us. And you can't quantify that emotion. You can't put that there's no dollar amount that goes to that. It's just an incredible feeling. And then my son just having a wonderful time that night. It was just a perfect evening for all those reasons.
Has Francesco had any situations at school or in where he, where you live, that he has had anyone ask any questions or any struggles about having either a single dad or having a gay dad?
That's a great question.
Sometimes as a single parent, you're a little bit more almost in the closet, but I can't imagine you being much in the closet.
Actually, more so here in the Bay Area than in Texas. We've had more questions. I don't know if that's the age. In Texas, I most definitely felt tolerated. There was never any statement made, although I always wondered, have we always been invited to birthday parties, et cetera? There was no overt discrimination or even questions. People were very tolerant, but we were never celebrated. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to get back. Here, people do have questions. There are other children in his homeroom who are adopted. Other families have said that because of our family, it's been an opportunity for them to talk to their children about gay families. So all of the experiences I've had in the Bay Area have been really, really good ones where we have been a catalyst to discussions for other families.
Oh, that's great. So let's move on to Night Out. So you're coming to Night Out. You're our table captain. You've been our champion at getting other table captains. Why do you love? Why the commitment to Night Out? Tell us a little bit about it.
Actually, Judy, right when you said that, I suddenly realized, one of the first events I went to last year was Night Out, and I remember seeing you on stage. I remember sitting.
I looked good.
You did. You had an amazing dress on, and I can't wait to see what you wear this year. I remember when you started talking about the fact that families are the next big frontier in our fight for equality, and that's what hooked me, and that's why I think that night is so important. First, it's a night for the parents. I actually get to leave my son at home, go to a glamorous hotel, the Intercontinental, be with a room of other like-minded people, and celebrate this organization and celebrate being a parent.
Great. And so who's going to be? We're honoring a few people. Will you just remind me who we're honoring?
Absolutely. We are honoring two wonderful individuals and an organization. We are going to be recognizing previous Assembly member Tom Amiano for his great work in the community, as well as a strong advocate, Evelyn Shen. And then we're going to acknowledge Target for the great work that they've done for us.
It's going to be a great night, along with the famous Michelle Meow and the singing boys. It's going to be another fun night. How can people buy tickets? Do you know?
I do know. They can go online to Our Family Coalition's website and purchase them there. And if they do not already have a table captain, please use my name, Stephen Botte. And we do still have seats left. It really is an amazing night, so much so that I'm actually having my mother come. She'll be at the grandparents' table, and a friend of the family who really is like an aunt to me will be there as well. So it is a family night.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because actually our moms are table captaining the grandparent table. So if anyone out there has a grandparent who wants to come enjoy Night Out, tell them to contact one of our moms, or you can do it through ourfamily.org. You can buy your tickets there, and you can either put, Stephen Batte's name, or if you're a grandparent, you can put our mothers' names. It's so cute that our mothers are getting to be friends.
That's an important thing. I mean, that's what's so great about the organization. It's multi-generational.
Yeah. Any final words about how important our family coalition is, or any words of wisdom for families?
Our Family Coalition is important for two reasons. First, it does incredible work, advocacy work to develop policy. But secondarily, it creates fun activities for my son. So that's why I'm such an advocate for this organization, and I volunteer. I believe in what we're doing.
Well, thank you, and thank you for everything that you do for our Family Coalition. And one of the things Stephen does is after every event that he goes to with his family, and sometimes it's him and his son, sometimes with his mom, always sends a word of praise and appreciation to our staff members. So on behalf of all of them, that means a lot, because it's great to know how we're impacting families. So that's a great practice. And I look forward to seeing what you're wearing on April 23rd.
I'm wearing sequins as well.
Okay, well, we're going to have to get a selfie. Great. So we're going to conclude now. We're going to conclude the Alphabet Soup with our final segment, which is our food for thought. Every month, we have an opportunity to hear from one of our Family Coalition staff members about something that's of interest to our organization and to families as a whole. And in honor of Night Out, we're going to hear from our incredible donor engagement associate, Alan Johnson. And after that, we'll be ending the show, and we'll look forward to the next edition of the Alphabet Soup. So let's take it away, Alan.
Hi, my name is Alan Johnson. I am the Donor Engagement Associate at our Family Coalition, and this is Food for Thought. I want to talk to you a little bit about something that's been sitting with me, something I've been thinking about, reciprocity. And I actually want to first define what reciprocity is. It's something that's been sitting with me as I think about how we engage with our communities. Reciprocity is the action of responding to one positive action with another positive action. And actually want to share a story that I felt was really powerful and really, in some ways, captivated and talked about what reciprocity really is. We had a family that was going through a really critical time, and they really needed some support. And I won't go into detail to divulge names, but they came to us for support, and we were able to show up for them. They ended up coming to one of our programs and two of our programs, and ultimately they ended up coming throughout the year, perpetually coming to our programs, and never really asked for anything, but just became a big part of our community, which we were really thankful for. Ultimately, what we found was that they ended up surprising us with a huge end-of-year gift, and we were overwhelmed and ultimately really surprised. Didn't talk much, just really engaged with our community, but they left a small note. And that note was that we showed up with them for a really critical time, that without us, without this community, they didn't know where they'd be. And furthermore, that they felt it was their time to give back. It was their time to show up for us. And furthermore, it was their time to ensure that other people, other folks like them also had this community and also had the opportunity to assure that we expanded to show up for more people. And that to me was a really, really powerful note about what reciprocity in its fullness really looks like. That was their way of giving back. And for so many people, giving back looks different and varies in so many ways. Everyone gives back in the way that really speaks to them. I think for me, one way I give back is through my work. I have the privilege to be able to give back and show up every day and show up for our LGBTQ families. And Stephen, who was actually just here, not only shows up in his work as a volunteer board member, but is a big financial steward for us. And so he finds so many ways to show how thankful he is for this community and how thankful he is for all that our Family Coalition does. And so he also sees it as a way of giving back as ensuring other people have this opportunity. Other people get to engage with this community and we continue to expand. So ultimately, today as we talk about reciprocity, I think it's really important to think about the many ways that we can also continue to give back, because we cannot do this without you. A part of reciprocity, again, is responding one positive action with another positive action. And we continue to support with positive actions, and we need your continued positive actions in order to do this work, because we cannot do this without you. At the core and at the foundation of our work is reciprocity. So if you feel compelled to act, please make a donation today. Please give back in the way that really speaks to you. If you feel compelled, give back through a financial donation. Visit us at ourfamily.org and go to our donation tab and find in your heart to continue to give back so we can achieve equity together, empowered together for LGBTQ families. Thank you. And thank you so much for joining us for Alphabet Soup. That's our food for thought, and that in totality is our Alphabet Soup with our Family Coalition. Thank you, and visit us at www.ourfamily.org to learn more about our Family Coalition, and we hope to see you next week. Thanks. Bye.